I don't think voting against Kevin McCarthy is chaos. I think $33 trillion in debt is chaos. I think that facing a $2.2 trillion annual deficit is chaos. I think that not passing single subject spending bills is chaos. I think the fact that we have been governed in this country since the mid-90s by continuing resolution and omnibus is chaos. And the way to liberate ourselves from that is a series of reforms to this body that I would hope would outlast Speaker McCarthy's time here, would outlast my time here, and would outlast either of our majorities. Reforms that I have heard some of the most conservative members of this body fight for, and some of the reforms that we've been battling for that I've even heard those in the Democrat caucus say would be worthy and helpful to the House. So for all the crocodile tears about what may happen later this week about a motion to vacate, working with the Democrats is a yellow brick road that has been paved by Speaker McCarthy, whether it was the debt limit deal, the CR, or now the secret deal on Ukraine.
I will not run for Speaker again. I'll have the conference pick somebody else.
I just share with my colleagues that I'm withdrawing my name as a candidate for the Speaker designee.
No, I was going to support Jim.
You're going to support Jim Jordan?
Yes.
Do you think that he has the votes to go to the floor?
I think he's got the votes, but we'll see.
On behalf of the House Republican Conference, I rise today to nominate the gentleman from Ohio, Jim Jordan, as Speaker of the People's House.
For the first time in history, the Speaker of the House has been ousted following a motion to vacate. What this amounts to is a vote of no confidence, and the truth is that Kevin McCarthy did not have the confidence of the majority of the entire House of Representatives, which is required to continue as the Speaker of the House. The Speaker of the House is a unique position in Congress. Unlike the Senate majority and minority leaders, or the House leaders and whip, the Speaker of the House is elected by the entire House, not just one conference. This means you need a coalition between all the factions of the majority party to remain Speaker. In a party that is undergoing an ideological realignment following the Trump Revolution of 2016, this is no easy task. What happened was not about Republicans versus Democrats. It wasn't a group of radicals who betrayed the Republican Party to oust Kevin McCarthy. It was a no-confidence vote, a vote which Kevin McCarthy lost. Our founding fathers made no mention of parties in our Constitution. They expected a speaker to gain the support of a majority of representatives. Representatives which they assumed would each be independent. Representatives with a core loyalty to their constituents, not a national party. In multi-party parliamentary systems, which you see in Israel and Germany and other countries across the world, when one party does not command an absolute majority, a prime minister must be able to build a coalition government. This means making some compromises, but negotiating a deal to keep all factions on board. This is basically what we need to do in the House today. Our Republican Party is split into several factions: establishment, liberal, Tea Party, MAGA, and America First. Republicans need to find a speaker who is able to unite the entire party and deliver on conservative priorities. After McCarthy made the announcement that he will step aside and not run for Speaker of the House again in the next election, Steve Scalise, the House Republican leader, was able to briefly secure the Speaker nomination with only 113 votes. But 99 Republicans voted against him behind closed doors, and many of them made their reasoning known publicly, whether it be that they distrust Scalise on policy or they had concerns over his health, since Scalise is currently battling blood cancer. Unable to come anywhere close to 217 votes required to become Speaker, Steve Scalise did the best thing he could and stepped aside and relinquished the nomination of Speaker to give another person a try. That new and open speakership election led to Jim Jordan from Ohio's 4th District getting another chance to become Speaker and finally receiving the Republican nomination. This nomination is absolutely historic. Jim Jordan becoming Speaker would be an enormous upgrade over McCarthy, and finally get the gavel into the hands of a conservative warrior. More than that, it represents the solidification of the MAGA revolution, claiming victory over the remnant Bush-era Republican Party. 10 years before the Trump Revolution, Jim Jordan was elected to the House of Representatives in 2007. 7 years later, he was elected the first chairman of the House Freedom Caucus. And now, 8 years after that, he is the Republican nominee for Speaker of the House. This is his moment. Jim Jordan becoming Speaker is representative of the broader shift within the Republican Party. No longer the party of Bush and the business elite, the Republican Party is now becoming the party of the American working class, the party of the American people. Moving the Speaker's gavel from California to Ohio reflects this change. Under Trump's leadership, Ohio has gone from swing state status to being one of the most solidly red states in the Rust Belt, and elected an incredible new America First Senator in J.D. Vance. What the Republican Party must now do is replicate its success in Ohio to the rest of the Rust Belt and to the entire country at large. What better leader in Congress is there to do that than Jim Jordan as Speaker of the House? And when it comes to 2024, what better partner could Donald Trump look for in passing his revolutionary Agenda 47 through Congress? In 2016, much of the Trump agenda was stonewalled in the House by then Speaker Paul Ryan, Kevin McCarthy's young gun buddy. With a speaker like Jim Jordan and a president like Donald Trump, MAGA Republicans' only remaining roadblock will be Mitch McConnell in the Senate, and it doesn't appear that he will be in that position much longer. Regardless, that topic is for another day, but it is a fight that must be had, and must be had after the 2024 election, but before Trump takes power in 2025. For Jim Jordan to become Speaker, he must first win the votes. In this first round of voting on the House floor, Jim Jordan came out the other end with 200 Republican votes. 20 rhinos voted for a cast of characters who are not currently seeking the speakership, 7 for Scalise, 6 for Kevin McCarthy, and 3 for Lee Zeldin, along with 4 others going to a handful of one-off figures. Now, this is a very similar position to what Kevin McCarthy faced after his first round of voting on the floor back in January, except that these quote-unquote rebels are far more divided and unserious. Jordan will have some time to work with these 20 and hopefully win them over to his side, just as Kevin McCarthy did back in January. It seems clear that most of their protest is not over Jordan, but over how McCarthy was removed and Scalise stepped aside. Many of them just want to protest what happened to their preferred candidates, and many of them are just mad with Matt Gaetz. But the truth is they have little conviction over stalling the House much longer, especially with all the crises facing America right now. After a few rounds of voting and pressure from voters and the media, it is very likely that Jim Jordan will be able to consolidate the support he needs and win the speakership. A true victory for conservatives across America. Now, in the very unfortunate possibility that Jordan cannot get the votes, there are still 2 final good options that could unite the GOP before we get into the dark possibilities. One of those options is Kevin Hern, the chairman of the House Study Caucus. The other is Lee Zeldin, a former congressman from New York, who commands respect across the party. In the near impossible scenario that none of these 3 men become Speaker, then we face a very disturbing possibility. Democrats and Rhino Republicans working together against the wishes of the American people. But rest assured, none of these outcomes involve Democrat Hakeem Jeffries becoming Speaker. Ideally, if Jim Jordan, Kevin Hern, and Lee Zeldin cannot become Speaker, we just shouldn't elect a Speaker. We should let the government shut down and paralyze the rest of Biden's term. This would stop Biden's destruction of America and end funding for his political persecution of America's conservatives. But that outcome is also basically impossible. One Democrat has floated the idea of making former President George W. Bush Speaker, but that nightmare scenario is a pipe dream for the neoliberal uni-party. I don't think Bush would ever accept that job. But think about what that symbolizes, that the former Republican president would be considered to be Speaker of the House and serve at the pleasure of Democrats. That is how much progress we have made in exposing the uni-party and pushing forward a new vision of American prosperity. But no, George W. Bush will not be Speaker. More likely in that scenario, some uni-party Republicans would cut a deal with Democrats and give Dems chairmanship over certain committees for the rest of this Congress in exchange for electing a rhino speaker. In that scenario, the uni-party will be fully exposed and the primary fury would be intense from the Republican grassroots. These people would not get re-elected to Congress. They would never be elected as Republicans again. It would help clean house for the so-called moderate Republicans who care for nothing more than self-enrichment and power, and hopefully lead to a much better Republican conference come 2025. But that is the worst case scenario. As of now, I think Jim Jordan has a real shot at becoming Speaker. 200 votes on the House floor has solidified him as the best case to unite the Republican Party, and I feel that that number will only climb in the coming days. Pray for Jim Jordan, pray for the country, and pray for the American people. It's time for change in Washington. It's time for new blood and new leadership. Let's make it happen. America first. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, leave a like on the video, and share the video with a friend. Together we can push forward a national renewal and take back our country. I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and God bless.